Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. I'm Kirk Henderson, joined tonight by David Trink. We gave Josh Bowe the night off. He must have had a premonition about this game. David, how are you?
I'm good. It was at least a fun game after a not very promising start.
Just like Christ on a cracker. So there are just nights where you'd assume I could catch the start of an 8 p.m. game. But my wife was out at a PTA meeting. My son wanted me to read to him for a while before bed, and I come down and it's like 8:45. So I knew I'd missed the first quarter. It's 10 minutes into the second quarter, and the Mavs are down by 20 something. What the hell? What just went on in that first quarter?
I mean, it was basically an amalgamation of all of the Mavericks issues where not only could they not hit a shot, but the guys that couldn't dribble were turning the ball over. And the Suns couldn't. I mean, the Suns had every single thing go their way to the point where there was a play where Colin Gillespie threw a backdoor cut to a guy on the baseline, and the ball hit, I think, Cooper's knee and bounced directly to a Suns player in the corner who hit a three. It was like that kind of thing for 16 minutes, basically. And the Mavericks went down like 31, I think, in like 12 or like 14 minutes.
It was real bad. And then the second quarter, which I watched a lot more closely, the Mavericks closed out the second quarter, I think, on an 18-4 run, but we're still down 17 points at the half. That's impressive. And, you know, the statistical elements of this game, I think our guy Joe is writing the stats for this game. You look at the box score on this one, and I'll put it to you like this. Former Matthew Phillips shot me a direct message, and he said, I think if I would have been on the other side of this free throw disparity, my head would have exploded by now. And if you are a Mavs fan just tuning in because you're a masochist and you didn't watch this game at all, here's how many free throws the Dallas Mavericks shot. 44. Here's how many free throws the Phoenix Suns shot. 9. And the Mavericks lost by nearly double digits. Like the second half was kind of just a slow death. You know, the first half was like record time because that game started at 8:15 and it was halftime by 9. I was like, yes, it's a late game. I'm going to get to go to bed. No, second half was just a slog of horse shit where the Mavericks paraded to the free throw line, tried to work their way back into it. They nearly made it a clutch game. Like they got within 6, I think.
Yeah, maybe 7.
Yeah, Najee Marshall made it 6, and bottom line, we know that the Mavericks lost 120-111, but they really made the game interesting in the second half. And then you look at like what the Suns are doing here. The Suns shot 50 3-pointers, where I think they kind of shelled the Mavericks in the first half from 3. Am I misremembering that?
Yeah, I mean, the Mavericks didn't make their second 3 until like 6 minutes left in the game. It was probably, I know at one point I checked and the discrepancy in threes was like 39 points. It was like 14 made threes for Phoenix to 1 for Dallas. So yeah, I mean, it was as big of a delta there as you can imagine. I mean, even with just shots taken, Phoenix took 102 shots and the Mavericks only got 77 off. And the Mavericks only turned the ball over, I mean, not only, but they turned it over 16 times to Phoenix's 13. And then you look at the offensive rebounds, it was 17-8. So
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this then. So we're kind of, this is the first starting lineup change we've seen in several weeks. Tyus Jones entered the starting lineup and proceeded to just guide the tank. Just directly drive that tank
off a cliff.
Mavericks. Man, he understood the assignment. I kind of appreciate that. Let's talk about the new Mavericks. What were your impressions of like Tyus, Chris Middleton, and then Bagley tonight?
I think I'll start with Bagley. Bagley, I think, has been pretty solid in his minutes the last 2 games. I mean, is he like a guy that like for the future? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, he's certainly a bench guy that you can throw in there and mix it up. He brings a lot of energy. Tyus Jones, I'm sorry. As if the Mavericks needed another small guard. I've seen enough. He came out and he airballed I think his first shot tonight from the left wing, that if he had aimed 3 feet to the right, it still would have been an air ball. That's how far left the shot was. I mean, it was bad. He really didn't show me much tonight, to be honest. I don't know if anyone else feels differently, but I did not enjoy the 15 minutes that he played. And then
which is interesting.
I thought was go ahead.
I say that because in game one, his similar time frame, he dished out 7 helpers and no turnovers and looked pretty functional. In this game, he's a negative 11 in 15 minutes, which is not the worst thing ever, but pretty indicative of how poorly the Mavericks start went.
Yeah, it was a lot of that too. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where, there's teams that get in the flow and they can't like make a mistake if they tried. The Mavericks were basically the complete opposite to start the game. Like they couldn't do anything right if they tried. And Tyus Jones was just, a cog in that wheel. And then Chris Middleton, I thought, he is what he is. He's like, it's like he came in there and gave them professional basketball minutes. Like he's certainly, a guy above Bagley and Tyus Jones that he's been on winning teams. He came in there and looked like a guy that was doing things to win. I really don't know how to analyze him for the rest of the year because
I have a take, and this is what I want to run past you because you're an A&M guy, so you are a Chris Middleton adjacent fan, whether you want to be or not. And I sort of wonder, I heard 2 wildly different takes from different people I trust about what the Mavericks will do with Middleton. And someone was like, oh yeah, he's guaranteed to get bought out. And somebody else was like, no, I think he's with the team the rest of the year. And I think Mavericks fans are going to quietly lose their minds about him because he's the kind of player who is going to win them games.
Yes.
You put him in the starting lineup where he probably belongs and things are more settled. Like he's a good basketball player. Like I mean that obviously I said he's a good basketball player. So of course I mean it as a compliment, but in the sense of what the Mavericks are going for here, there's going to be a lot of like, let's put that guy on the bench kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the Mavericks they need bodies, this is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. That's pretty much what I was getting at. Like when he was in the game, it looked like they were a competent basketball team, and when he wasn't, they did not look as much like that. I saw Nick Angstadt tweet earlier about kind of a joke that he threw the 2 longest outlet passes of the season, but honestly, it might be true. There were like 2 plays where he got a rebound and threw the ball down the court to Cooper Flagg was one of them. I don't know who the other one was, but that's the kind of play that these guys just don't like. Brandon Williams isn't making that play. And like the other guys, like, Tyus Jones might, but Max Christie's not doing that. PJ rarely ever does that. Najee Marshall certainly looks to dribble before he looks to pass. But so that was nice. But I think you're right. Like if they want to get the draft pick they're after, Chris Middleton playing is gonna be counterintuitive. And you saw that with the minutes in the second half that he played, because the Mavericks were just better than Phoenix in the second half.
Well, that's kind of the overarching challenge with this particular team structure. And I just if you're going to be a person that plants themselves firmly on team tank, get ready to be disappointed because the Mavericks aren't capable of doing it. They're just not capable of doing it. I don't think, for Jason Kidd, for all the tricks within his book, the Mavericks have too many good players to be able to actually tank. And they're not going to put Cooper Flagg on the bench for 12 minutes of the fourth quarter. So it's just, that's something that I want people to kind of get. After last year's chicanery, I kind of buy into the basketball gods and just kind of, I will hope for what may. But speaking of Cooper Flagg, this was a very weird game from him. Not bad. Obviously finishes with the team high plus 10, 8 for 20 from the floor. Very inefficient for him. But he did get to the line 14 times, which is he's a big chunk of the Mavericks, nearly 33% of their free throw attempts. I just love watching him force it. At this point, he hit a little short jumper for an and one, like either in the early, like late in the third or early in the fourth. And it's just the kind of like stop and dribble pull up motions. You just don't see this from like power forwards. Like he does stuff that I'm just so not used to. Like I don't know who to compare him to ever, and I think that's fun. In every game, he's showing me something a little different. There was that sideline, like kind of steal and spin, and then he threw the oop, I think, to Marvin Bagley. That might have been my favorite play of the game. There was a transition dunk. I mean, if you're not tuning in to watch the Mavericks, I understand, but I'm telling you, he's really worth the price of admission every night. Every night.
For sure.
What did you think of his game tonight?
I mean, I thought it was okay. I like for the most part, he had some really good moments, like the ones you just described. And like his ability at 19 to get downhill and get to the exact spot that he wants to. And I mean, I don't know how to like emphasize this enough to people, but like the defenders that he's doing against, like Dylan Brooks is a very, very strong defender. If you've ever seen Dylan Brooks in person, that dude is built. And like Cooper Flagg is just not right now. And the fact that he doesn't look outmatched against Dylan Brooks, Kawhi Leonard, like all of these really like physical, large, long defenders is pretty remarkable. I think that's one of the things that's impressed me most about him. But like kind of related to Cooper, I thought there were some moments in this game that was like, this is the vision of what the team could be, where it's Cooper Flagg and two wings. Like the lineup they closed with, maybe not as like a long-term thing, but a fun like wrinkle that they have where you have basically 4 or 5 forwards out there. And Cooper Flagg is just, you know, the linchpin of the defense, and they get out and run, push the tempo and attack the basket. But the stretch where they came back in the second quarter, where it was like Gafford's blocking shots off the backboard, and then they're outlitting it to Flagg, who's going down and, you know, knocking Dylan Brooks off him like he's a fly and then dunking it. I mean, I thought that was like eventually what a Cooper Flagg led winning basketball team looks like, where you have athletic defenders around him and you push the pace and you just let this guy basically get any shot he wants in transition.
Yeah, he's preposterous. It's kind of going to be the only reason to tune in. I mean, I really don't think the Mavericks are capable of the kind of tanking that we're seeing from other teams. So I think if like you want to watch like interesting basketball stuff, the Mavericks are going to be trying things with him just to see where you can go from here. But you know, it was you know, for everybody else, kind of a weird, you know, your standard like mildly disappointing PJ game. Caleb Martin, just professional tanksman. Najee Marshall, obviously team high, 31 points. He is so interesting to me because Najee is, there's some people on our staff that think Najee's kind of a fake stats all-star. And then there's other people on our staff that are very convinced that Najee should be on, if he was on a better team, he would really be a winning player. And I like watching him because I think there's some great dog in his fight, but I'm also not entirely understanding the attachment to him, because you said something earlier about how, you know, Najee looks to dribble before anything else. And I think that's right. Like, it's not a criticism, just sort of a statement of what he does. Mm-hmm. And the ball needs to move more. The Mavericks need more, you know, shooters. He's not one of them. He's just he's an interesting player. And I don't know what to think of him moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely made a lot more sense on the team that they picked him up for last year, for sure. I think another thing that he lacks in is like he's just not athletic enough to kind of be a guy that you can put around Cooper Flagg and switch with, because when he gets put on, you know, assume like one of the forwards that can move laterally and get to the rim, it's just not a matchup that you want when they like if Cooper's guarding that guy and then they switch, you know, that's not really what you want. Like PJ makes more sense there because he's more athletic than Najee is. Yep. But yeah, I mean, I think he's fun. Like he's a lot of fun for a team like this, where the goal is to, you know, play hard every night and make it entertaining, but not necessarily win for the betterment of the future. So he's kind of perfect for this team, but I'll be interested to see like next year if they actually try to win games and how they play Najee there. Maybe it's off the bench. I think, you know, if he's a guy that comes in for 20 minutes and you're like, all right, here's the offense for, you know, 20 minutes while Cooper's on the bench for 12 of those. I mean, sure. Like, why not? He's a great bench scorer. But in terms of like a starting role, I don't. The shooting is big too. Like if he shot 38% from three, then you could convince me. But
even 30, but it's like there are just nights where it's like he's shooting the ball and it looks like there's wind. And it's like, okay, I don't know if we're gonna be able.
Or he doesn't shoot. Sometimes he just doesn't shoot the threes, and you just have to take the shots. That's the biggest thing with a guy that gets all his points in the paint. It doesn't really matter if you make the shots because eventually they'll go in. You just have to take them.
That's right. That's right. Well, we're about at the 17-minute mark, longer than I thought we'd actually get out of the game. For anybody who is paying attention to this thing live, Victor Wembanyama has 37 points at the half against the Lakers. They're beating the Lakers by 30. They should, if they want Wemby to. Wemby could probably go for like Kobe's 82 against this Lakers team, 81, excuse me, if he wanted to. But I have a feeling they'll probably pull him in the fourth quarter just because he's frail, or he's 7'5", whatever. Just an interesting thing at the moment. I'm going to cut to a break here. Insert some ads if you want to support the show. Obviously, subscribe, tell your friends, listen to the ads, and if you are really feeling weird and generous, there's a couple of links that you can send us money directly. Dave and I will be right back. We're going to talk about something else because this game wasn't near as interesting as the 17 minutes that we dedicated to it thus far. We will be right back. Okay, thanks so much for hanging out. I was going to do a group therapy tonight. It's 11 o'clock and there's nobody in here, which is fine. Like, I don't judge anyone for not watching this team right now. Like, I don't know about you, David, but I get a lot of stuff on my like social feeds for For You pages. And like, it's almost always like Mavs adjacent stuff, particularly on Facebook. And like the local populace just is not super into this team. Like, I don't know, there's always going to be diehards, but you go to games, your folks are season ticket holders. There's the interest in this team is not there. And so I don't really blame anyone for being like, I don't want to do this right now.
I mean, a lot of people just look at the wins and losses, and if they're not winning, then they're not really tuning in. And if you're not tuning in, you don't really see how good Cooper Flag is and how much of a must-watch he is. So I get it. I mean, once they start winning, it's kind of like an exponential curve, I think, with a guy like Cooper Flag, because once you start winning and you start watching what he's doing, that's when things skyrocket.
Yep. Well, and we'll welcome the people back whenever they choose to come. So that's where we are. So part of the reason why I was glad you actually agreed to come on is you were one of them. Our entire staff talked about this last night. We did not cover it on Mavs-Moneyball.com because I chose not to. Editorial decision. I am not technically. I'm actually the editor-in-chief of the website, so I dictate a lot of our coverage, but normally I don't dictate shit because I'm happy to publish what people run. Mark Stein, friend of the show, love Mark, followed Mark for most of my Mavericks life. Put out a story last night, says sources, unidentified local investors expressed interest in partnering with Mark Cuban to try to buy back the Dallas Mavericks. He ran this last night. Essentially 30 hours ago, got a comment from the Adelsons that was essentially, we're the family. No, this is what the quote says. Quote, the family remains excited about the future of the franchise in the Cooper Flag era. I don't know how to talk about this story because this just reminds me, I don't know this. I don't want to accuse anyone of fucking anything, but this is what Cuban used to do with Dalton and lots of other people is he would literally email them stuff and talk to them and create news. And this reads like that. It just does. It reads like, according to Mark Cuban is interested in buying the Mavericks. That's what that story reads like to me. What do you think, David?
I think there has to be something there. Like I think we're probably in agreement, and we talked about this a little bit, that this is probably something that Mark Cuban wants to do. I'm sure there's something in his head that's like,
sure,
I can't believe what I've done. I want to make this right.
I'm just, as he swims in his Scrooge McDuck pile of gold.
Yeah.
Like, what that?
But I think we're in agreement that this probably isn't that far down the line of it's in its infancy, probably. He probably has talked to people who knows who, this ambiguous or anonymous investor group, who knows who that is. This is just the implications of something like this would be like, if this were to actually happen, it would be a pretty remarkable story in the in the history of the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most plausible, if you're putting on your conspiracy hats and you're looking for reasons why the Adelsons would do this, it comes down to the fact that the Texas push for legalized gambling has amounted to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick giving them the religious finger. Like it's on, not only because he hates Mark Cuban, and he hates Mark Cuban is what it seems to be, but also he's not interested in having gambling in Texas. Just quite simple. Mm-hmm. And so that push, which the Adelsons, there's a Vanity Fair article about the 2024 that they had, 2025 that they have, was actually pretty brutal. If you want to go seek it out, like just Google Vanity Fair, Miriam Adelson, it should come up. And they lost on the gambling front. Just about everywhere they sunk a bunch of money. And so the Mavericks are a tangential part of that. But rich people don't become rich people by spending their money religiously. At some point, they figure it out and decide to reallocate. And that could be the Adelsons. So if you're wondering if they might actually sell the team, my broad big picture take is I don't think the Adelsons will own the team in 10 years.
I agree.
I do think they will own the team in the short to medium term for the reason of Brad Townsend. See, there's some stuff that happened yesterday, like 2 days ago on Super Bowl Sunday. Brad Townsend of the Dallas Morning News, who is always, he's been kind to me. So when I say Brad Townsend, like, I didn't mean it sneeringly. It's just, he would have been the last person who essentially I would have assumed to break the news that the NBA is expanding. So right. On Sunday night, the NBA is expanding, and he basically notes that he says that this is the thing that he's hearing. Now, it's a thing lots of people have talked about, but for him to just say it like that felt timed. Like, it's like somebody told him that pretty recently. Wonder who that person could be. Could it be someone involved in NBA ownership? And then the next night, there's an investment group that's interested in partnering with Mark Cuban to buy the Dallas Mavericks. And I'm just like, so I say that the Adelsons, I don't think they would sell the team right now, because if you purchase like whatever two groups purchase the NBA ownerships for wherever they expand, NBA team owners will receive a massive influx of cash. Mm-hmm. And it's a ton of money. It's in the neighborhood. Let's just assume, we talked about this in the Slack, so I don't mind sharing it with people. Let's just assume the buy-in for each franchise is slightly less than the most recent Celtics valuation. Sale. The Celtics sale was like at $6 billion. Let's say it's $5 billion for each franchise. That's $10 billion divided by 30 teams. That's a ton of cash for these teams.
Yeah.
And you're not walking away from that. The Adelsons might be losing money right now in the Mavericks on a game-to-game situation. You make up everything they lose back probably within one swift windfall, then you sell the team, which you also make money from. So
I agree.
A ton of money. Yeah. Okay. And Jared Sullivan says owners get half, NBA keeps half. I mean, the owners in the NBA are one entity. I'm it's still a ton of money. And like, I've learned a lot about the operating expenses of most professional sports teams, and most teams lose money year over year now with how expensive it is to run a team. So it's like, this is part of the business. You remake all your money in the sale, whatever. I just don't see it right now. That I really think that there's a chance that Cuban could buy back ownership stake eventually. I just don't see it now. And I think the timing of this story coincides with the fact that Patrick Dumont becomes the SansCore CEO in about 3 weeks. And so this will become something that is on his back burner as governor. So long story short, to me, this story is even though I just talked about it for 5 straight minutes, it's a story that doesn't have legs yet.
Right. And there's even more moving parts. Like the Mavericks are supposed to be getting a new arena in the realm of 2030 or 2031. I mean, who pays for that? Like if their sales aren't done overnight, this is something that would have to go through a lot of things. And so it's like, who pays for the new arena? Who gets the bonus? Like there's so many things that they would have to decide on that I don't think that it would. I think that's the correct take. Is that I said this today in one of our chats. Like the agreement that Cuban and the Adelsons came to when the team was sold was they both wanted gambling in Texas, and the Adelsons probably viewed an NBA franchise as some sort of passive income. I mean, it was clearly something of the sort because of the way Patrick Dumont reacted to the Luka trade. He did not expect to be that involved.
Nope.
And it just didn't turn out to be, both of those things turned out to be, misses. There's not going to be any gambling in Texas. And owning an NBA team is not a form of passive income. You basically break even every year. And a lot of these owners do it because it's, when you're rich and you have that much money, it's kind of a fun thing to do on the side. It's not not one of your money.
While we're on that subject, I always think it's funny that one of dumb fuck Nico Harrison's arguments to Patrick Dumont was the Mavericks, like they couldn't afford to pay Luka.
Oh God.
And so, okay, let's just go with that on its face. I actually think that's kind of a fun argument. But what he never made the argument for is what would happen to the local sales if you traded Luka. I mean,
Right.
this better than most people because you go to Mavericks games. Ticket prices are through the fucking floor. The arena is never sold. It's not sold out anymore after a nearly 20-year. Cuban went out of his way to sell tickets at a loss because he would want people to be in there. It's never sold out anymore. I mean, the merchandise sales, everything is down. And so it's just like, that's such an incredibly bad miscalculation from the shoe salesman's part. It's something that will make me laugh for the next forever.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, like you said, my family's had season tickets for 40. What,
really? Holy shit! You're not even
42 years at this point.
Wow.
And I mean, so they do. So for people that don't know, they do like a ticket, season ticket renewal every year, and you can see who. Like they do a thing. It's online now. It used to be in person, where you actually physically move. You can see who's in their seats and you can move to like different seats if people don't renew, but they do it online now. And when we went to renew our tickets this year, I mean, normally there's obviously no breathing room. When the Mavs were making the finals, making the Western Conference Finals, everyone wanted to renew. And we checked the website this year, and in just this is just one section out of, I don't know how many. There's a whole lower bowl, there's a second deck, and there's a third level. There were 50 to 60 open seats in just our section. And that was obviously that was before Cooper, the Mavs won the draft lottery. But I mean, food prices have gone up astronomically the last couple of years. I mean, a small pizza is $18. And when a ticket goes up by 8%, and now you have to pay, $80 to $100 to sit in the upper deck. Who is going to pay that to watch a team that wins 26 games a year with no superstar? Anthony Davis is on the bench. It was just such a short-sighted financial move by everyone involved. I mean, that's just scratching the surface. Then there's parking you got to pay for. It was just, it made going to a game. I mean, the game, I think I went to the Luka return game last season, but I went to a Mavs, I think Pistons game or something, maybe Sixers, some team that was not very good last year. I went to that game after the trade before Luka came back. So it was probably March. And that was just the arena was like no life. It felt like it was a chore to be there. And you just were sitting there like, is this really what the next 5 to 10 years is going to be like? Mm-hmm. And then obviously they lucked out, and it's actually pretty exciting in Dallas now. But yes, back to what we were saying. It was a very short-sighted financial decision. And it's just incredible that like I wonder if that came up like in any discussion. Like because I mean Patrick Dumont has to know that that's a part of it.
I don't know, because it seems like, I mean, who was it? Mike Marshall, former Dallas Mavericks employee, said that he worked for the under the family for about a year, and when he finally got fed up and quit, he said the biggest thing is they didn't seem to understand what they bought whatsoever. Which is just very like for I don't want to get too much into that because I'll say some shit I shouldn't, but that tracks. So, okay, this is worth bringing up on the DLS Mavs show. Shout out to Mavs Film Room for tweeting this. Mark Stein says that since his report yesterday, the prospect of external investors expressing interest in joining the bid to buy the Mavericks has only increased.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either, because it's like they're two new teams that are going to buy into the league, and everybody wants a piece. Like, why would
I want to dispel the things I've seen about the Mavs going to Vegas, or like the Adelsons moving the Mavs to Vegas. For anyone that doesn't know, the Adelsons sold all of their Vegas property 4 years ago.
Yep.
They don't own anything in Vegas right now.
They're based out of there because there's no income tax there either.
And like and Dallas is the fourth largest market in the United States. Like they're not going to just.
The NBA would have to agree. All 29 other owners would have to agree for them to move. That's how teams move. Yeah. That's how. It will not happen.
No.
Let's say it with me. It will not happen. So stop asking me. Stop talking about it. You sound dumb. All because one Facebook mom put out this dumb fuck video about how the city of Arlington isn't going to allow gambling. Do you remember that shit? I could strangle that lady for that. Like, there's so much misinformation in one 90-second video, and it was like right after the trade, and it just permeated since then. And it's one of those deals where, you're at this situation right now where you just have to keep talking about it. It's like, well, they could take the Mavericks to the Vegas, and the Mavericks could get one of the expansion teams. No,
that doesn't even make sense.
Stop it. I'm so angry.
It's ridiculous. I mean, people, I get it. You see Adelson's own casino, whatever company, not company, but they own casinos, and you're like, oh, casinos, Vegas, Mavs, Vegas, but no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and this is, let's just say that 4 years ago, I would have thought Maverick or the state of Texas would have had gambling too, but the pushback against it has been quite incredible, and that's just. And that goes kind of across the board nationally. I think that it was Dan Patrick made the bet of we're just going to hold out and this isn't going to be a thing. And so, and he might be right, just because kind of the there's all these challenges of sports betting, that's neither here nor there for this podcast, but it is something of note. And it's just, if this becomes a thing where Mark Cuban does somehow purchase the team, I will hedge my bet to say that I would believe it in 2028. I don't think it's a thing that will happen in the next season or two. Does that make sense?
I agree. It's too. There's too many moving pieces for it to happen that quickly. I mean, unless Patrick Dumont could really just be like, I fucking hate this. You can take the team back. Just give me the money that I gave you.
Ash Mooring is noting, I think you only need the majority of owners. And now that I'm thinking about it, Mark Cuban was the one owner to actually fight back against some of this stuff. But I honestly don't remember the Oklahoma City, the move to Oklahoma City, whether all of them voted for it from Seattle. So I could be wrong. I'm willing to admit that one. That was kind of forced through because David Stern is the godfather. You don't fuck with him. So it's the option, some of this stuff might happen, but it's just, I'm having a hard time seeing it. And honestly, I've just been a part of the Cuban adjacent news cycle for so much of my Mavericks fandom. And you can just tell when something is a Cuban story. Mike Fisher, another guy who's always been friendly to me, so I'm not meaning to be an asshole about this, but you can tell when he would be the source for a story. It used to happen all the time. Like, that's kind of why Mavericks news is a little more boring now, because there's not quite so much horse shit in the ether because it all flowed from Cuban.
Yeah, I mean, that all predated me being on the internet.
But you were a fan. And like when you look back now, like all the stories where it's like, oh, the Mavericks are connected to this guy, or connected to this guy, connected to this guy, and it never happened. Why was that?
Right.
Because it was never real to begin with.
Right.
Well, okay, we've somehow talked for 35 minutes. I didn't mean to keep you this long. Do you have anything else you want to talk about while you're here?
I don't think so. I think that covers everything.
So the Mavericks play the Lakers on Thursday. They're currently getting absolutely blitzed by the Spurs. Stephon Castle actually went out with an injury, so now I really think they're going to pull Wemby. So Luka's 73 points and Kobe's 81 points are hanging out there. So we'll see. Okay, I'm not going to do the secondary show because I'm tired and feeling a little salty, and I don't want to say any more shit that I should say. Nobody's listening to our show at this point in the year anyways. David, you can find David's writing at Mavs-Moneyball.com. He regularly contributes to our gambling coverage and to anything else he feels like writing. Me, I don't really write anymore because I'm stupid.
Grades every Tuesday.
That's right. Grades every Tuesday. Josh and I should be back on Thursday, and if Josh is still needs a moment away, then it'll be me and somebody else. The Mavs play a late game there too. I think that one's nationally televised though, so we'll see.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Prime Video, I believe.
Ooh, that's fun. That's fun. I like Dirk on Prime Video. He's still in the I'm telling stories stage of his career where he's not become boring. So
until he becomes the GM under Cuban after the sale in 2 years.
Yes. All right, guys, this has been Kirk and David. Thanks so much. You can find all of our work at Mavs Moneyball. Thank you for listening to Pod Maverick After Dark. We will talk to you guys soon, and go Mavs.